Are you looking for a way to torch your hamstrings and improve the overall size and strength of them in the weight room? This is gonna be the video for you. Let's get to it. Hey there, Brandon Spilley here from Thirst Gym, and today I'm going to give you my top 7 exercises I love for improving hamstring strength and size. But before we get started, I want to talk about some quick anatomy about the hamstrings. So the first thing you got to know here is that it crosses 2 joints, the hip and the knee joint, and as such, it can perform 2 different motions. It can perform what would be a knee flexion, or what many people will think of as a leg curl variation, or it can do hip extension when you think of things like RDLs, which are usually exercises you can load a little bit more, and they're gonna start with usually a lot of heavy eccentric base work. Both are great for optimizing the strength and size of your hamstrings, but these exercises I'm gonna show you today is gonna be a nice blend between the 2. So you're gonna have some that just focus on just knee flexion, some that focus on just hip extension, and others that have a blend or a hybrid of the 2. These 7 exercises are pretty tough, so I would say they're probably not for beginners, but if you're looking for a way to spice up your hamstring workout that you're putting into your training programs, this is gonna be the video for you. Let's get to it. All right, the first exercise here is gonna be a hamstring curl with sliders, and we're gonna have an eccentric focus. So you can buy some furniture sliders from your local department store. They also make these from the fitness space, but really just getting them from a furniture store is far cheaper. And we're gonna use these on a surface that can slide. So carpet, turf, as long as they kind of slide pretty well. We don't want a ton of friction here with using them. And then I've got a light dumbbell here that I'm gonna use as load to kind of get some more from this exercise. You can use a barbell, a sandbag, how you wanna load it's personally up to you. You can also just do body weight. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get on our back here, and I'm gonna have my legs out as far as I can, but slightly bent. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a leg curl, glute bridge combination up, and then I'm gonna control the reps down from 3 to 5 seconds. So I'm gonna do a 3-second demo here. So I'm gonna hold the dumbbell at my waist so I don't lose it. I'm gonna curl up here, 1001, 1002, 1003. Don't get my legs completely straight. Curl up again, 1, 1002, 1003. Owning that position, really trying to drive up strong, feel my hamstrings. Good squeeze, back down. The big thing we wanna make sure here is we're not arching through our low back, so we're in this position. We wanna make sure we're not arching here. I wanna actually keep my ribs somewhat down, my pelvis underneath me as I go to do that, so that I can get more hamstring recruitment and less in my low back. So I recommend doing this anywhere from 2 to 3 sets for about as many as you can if you're just doing the body weight. If you happen to be able to add weight like I did, 8 to 12 reps seems to be a good sweet spot. Our exercise number 2 that I love here is a kickstand dumbbell RDL with the slider. So we're gonna use that same slider that we used in the previous exercise, but we're just gonna need 1 here. And so we want 2 dumbbells, 1 in each hand. And then I'm gonna take 1 foot, place it on the slider here with my toe heavy on it. And then my front leg is gonna be soft and my normal hinging based pattern. And then what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna push that slider back. And as I go back, I'm gonna keep my chest tall. Dumbbells are gonna come around my leg and then come back up tall. So here, getting as long as I can, just briefly pushing that slider away and trying to actively pull through my glute, my hamstring, and the heel of that front leg, getting as long as I can. So this is again another eccentric heavy exercise, focusing on the lengthening, but we're gonna focus more at the hip, and then I would switch sides. So my recommendation for this exercise, because we gotta do both legs, is about 8 to 10 reps on each side, pushing that slider, keeping good and light on it, and trying to push it away, and really trying to push our hips backwards. It's not gonna feel like a big range of motion, but once you get there, you're gonna feel that stretch, you're gonna feel your glutes and your hamstrings really working, but we're gonna isolate one side at a time here, and then having the slider here, as I go down, I actually have to use my leg that's planted, that's doing the work, to actually try to pull myself back. And that's what makes this unique versus a regular RDL variation, is we're actually having to physically focus on pulling our leg back to the start position, giving it a unique feel and mixing up your normal RDL and hinging variations. Exercise number 3 is going to be a dumbbell RDL with band RNT. And so what that means is reactive neuromuscular technique. So because we're gonna use the band to bias our body into a particular movement, we're actually gonna get more muscle activation and a better quality movement because of what the band is trying to tell us to do, and we're gonna go the opposite way. So I'm gonna take my band here, tie it around a rack, and then I'm gonna personally get in the band. So I'm gonna take the band around my body here, put it right around my hip. I'm gonna walk forward so that I have tension on that band. I don't want a crazy amount of tension where it's gonna yank me backwards, but I do want enough to where I feel like, okay, I've gotta kind of actually lean forward just a tad, make sure that I'm using my glutes and my hamstrings to actually do the exercise. Then we're just gonna take our 2 dumbbells and perform our normal dumbbell RDLs. So from here, feet are underneath me, chest is tall, hips gonna go back into that band. Make sure that my feet stay flat. I don't wanna rock back, lose my toe. I want a whole foot contact. Hips are gonna go back, and then bring my hips forward, squeeze my glutes at the top. So down, through. Reach back, really driving backwards. Trying to get as long as I can, so long as my back stays flat and neutral. Hands are usually gonna get around kneecap, maybe slightly lower, and then squeeze at the top. So this is gonna be an exercise that you can actually push pretty heavy and pretty hard, depending on how much band tension you want. So get more band tension a step further away. My recommendation is to have a light to moderate band tension, nothing too crazy. But doing these anywhere again from 8 to 12 reps is going to, one, stress your hamstring growth, get a good quality full range of motion, and you're gonna get some added glute gains, which is never a bad thing. The next exercise I love here is a hamstring foam roller walkout. So you're just gonna need a foam roller for this, so you can kind of honestly do this at home if you really wanted to. And we're gonna take our feet, we're gonna place it on the foam roller. We're gonna get in a long lever bridge position. And so what that means is that I want my legs not completely straight. I want my knees slightly bent, but my hips are underneath me so that I can begin to do a bridge position. This is gonna initially kick my hamstrings on, and that's what I make sure I'm not arching through my low back here. Again, my pelvis is tucked, just a slight lift off for my glutes from the ground. And then all I'm gonna do is walk that up as high as I can, and then walk it back slow in that lever position. Keep my butt just hovering off the ground the entire time so that I'm keeping as much tension in my hamstrings as humanly possible. And then I can perform reps that way. So this is a great alternative if you don't have like a hamstring curl machine or a way to do a lot of direct hamstring work. Good workaround. My recommendation here is to do about 4 to 6 walkouts as a beginning point. If you can build up to doing 8 or 10, that's awesome. The other way you can progress it is to place some weight over on your belly, and that's gonna be able to let you load the variation as well. One of my favorite hamstring exercises here is the Single Leg Landmine RDL. And I love this because we get to train the single leg hinge pattern, but get a little bit more stability from the landmine. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna grab the edge of the landmine. If you happen to have attachments you can hold on to so it's not grip intensive, I would recommend that. Or you can just use a pair of straps to help your grip because this is a little thick. We would add weight here to the end of the sleeve. I'm gonna hold on here. I'm gonna stand on my outside leg, and then I'm gonna perform my single leg hinging RDL. So reaching down as long as I can, tap my toe to regain my balance, and getting as long as I can. And the reason I love this is because, one, we get that eccentric loading, as I mentioned, but it also pushes us into the side of that hip, really also improving our mobility as well. So we kind of get a 2-for-1 here with the exercise that we're doing, and we can really load this up, making it super convenient for being able to load the hamstrings through a good quality full range of motion in that single leg stance. The other thing you can do, if you really want to, is you can also hold it from the front. So same thing, opposite arm, opposite leg, come down and back up. Now, this is gonna allow for more loading potential, but you're not gonna get pushed into that hip as much. Again, not a bad thing, but also just another variation that you can do of this exercise. My recommendation, because it's a good quality, big compound exercise that we can get a lot of bang from our butt from, I really like this for 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 10 reps per side. And again, once you load this bad boy up, I recommend using straps so they make sure that your grip is not a factor. All right, one of the best exercises that I love that's super underrated, you probably never heard of, is gonna be the Dimal Deadlift, but we're gonna do it against band tension. This is going to be a very taxing hamstring exercise. So this is gonna be something that's probably gonna wreck you pretty hard if I'm being honest. You're not gonna need a ton of weight if you're doing this properly. So I got just a light to moderate amount of band tension here, and I've got a pretty light weight. My recommendation, you shouldn't go over 20% of your deadlift 1 rep max. If you know what that is, I would not go over that percentage because we're gonna do this for high repetitions and very fast and explosive. So we're gonna get in our conventional deadlift stance. We're gonna deadlift the bar up into position, and then we're gonna do what I would say like a normal RDL and then back up. So get the hang of that. If you've got that down, now all we're gonna do is just be as explosive as we possibly can with the band tension and the light weight. So I'm gonna go from here. Notice I'm coming just below the knee, exploding up as fast as I can, right back into the next rep and trying to control it. Now, the reason this is very taxing is because, again, we're gonna get some overspeed eccentrics from the band. The bands are constantly pulling down. And so as we go down, our hamstrings are getting stretched, but then we're asking them to contract as fast as possible as we can, and we're doing that for over and over and over. So with this variation, again, something I would probably put at the end of my workout because you're gonna be gassed after this. It's a good way to get a little bit of conditioning in as well. But these can be high reps, high effort, high intensity. So do this for anywhere from 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions. And again, don't go over that 20% recommendation on your deadlift and have a little bit of band tension. You're gonna have about 25 to 30% of your deadlift 1 rep max on here. And we're doing that for 15 to 20 reps for 2 to 3 sets. So you're talking about a lot of volume in a short period amount of time and with overspeed eccentrics. And that's gonna elicit a lot of quality hamstring growth and at the same time help improve your deadlift, which is always a win-win. All right, the final hamstring destruction exercise that I love here is the glute ham raise, but we're gonna put a mix on it. So if you've watched my videos, you know I love the glute ham raise for posterior chain glute hamstring development. But we're gonna mix in the glute ham raise with a back extension as well. So you're gonna do your normal glute ham raises, and again, just knock these out like you normally would, 8, 10, 15, however many reps that you can get of doing your glute ham raise. So we'll say, for example, I'm on rep like 9 or 10, I'm really struggling. Once I get done here, I'm just gonna bend over and now crank out as many reps as I can of my back extension, focusing on quality glute contraction, but a big stretch in that hamstring as well. And then take my rest. And then I would repeat this for 2 to 3 sets. So this is gonna be a hamstring finisher. I don't recommend doing this at the beginning of your training session. You're gonna be totally gassed, kind of just like with the Dimal Deadlift. But this is a great way to drive a ton of volume and blood to your glutes and your hamstrings, in particular your hamstrings, because again, we're working it at both joints here, the hip and the knee joint. I know many people struggle with the glute ham raise, so again, I'll have a link in the description box below of how to help get your first glute ham raise. But the back extension after that, once you've got a quality hamstring pump and then stretching it out and continuing to go to failure, I'm telling you, man, you're gonna feel your hamstring scream like never before. You're gonna elicit a lot of new quality hamstring growth. So again, my recommendation here, 1, 2, maybe 3 sets if you can really muster it, and put this at the end of your training day, regardless of kind of what you're doing, whether it just be a lower body day or a full body day, doesn't matter. Put this at the end and you're gonna see some good quality hamstring growth. And so there you have it. There are 7 killer hamstring exercises that you're probably not doing. They're gonna help elicit new hamstring growth and size. If you happen to like today's video, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment, share with a friend, subscribe. All that really helps me out. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next video.